Hello and welcome to Crypto Reviews. In this video, you're going to find out about Quant Network, a company which is trying to revolutionize the way applications are communicating with the blockchain and with various blockchains, how they're all interconnecting with each other. But hey, if this is your first time here, my name is Claudio and this is CryptoChain, the channel where I do crypto news, reviews, tutorials, and interviews. So please consider subscribing if you're new and don't forget to hit that like button regardless if you're new or if you've already been on this channel for some time. I really appreciate your support. But before we get straight into this review, I just want to let you know that this is not financial advice. This isn't a sponsored video. This is purely done for educational purposes, not only to educate myself, but also to educate you while I'm learning about this company and what they're trying to do by simply going through the website and trying to pinpoint all the different topics. Do check out the disclaimer in the description of the video for that sort of info. So now let's get straight in and talk about Quant Network and what they're trying to do. But as we can see here on their website, again, that can be found in the description, all they're saying here on the very first thing on the homepage is that they're interconnecting possibilities, right? Connecting the world's network to blockchain with just 3 lines of code. So the fact that they're saying that is a bit catchy, right? It makes you think, that's a bit suspicious, right? Why only 3 lines of code? Nothing is built so simple, right? But they're saying that they're removing the barriers for enterprise and developers to take full advantage of distributed ledger technology. So they're focusing on interoperability, simplicity, and future proof. Now, with regards to their partners, we've got Oracle here, which are catching your attention as soon as you're looking at this website. But to be honest, when companies say partners, I'm always a bit wary of that. So I would say more collaborations. So Oracle are collaborating with a lot of companies out there, right? So Quant Network is just one of the companies that Oracle is collaborating with for possible solutions, looking at the blockchain technology, right? Because we know that Oracle servers are extremely expensive if you're in the tech space. And because of that, Oracle are really suffering at the moment. A lot of companies are actually trying to deprecate their Oracle systems. So Oracle are really trying to go towards this revolutionary stage now, right? They're looking at different technologies. They're looking at the blockchain, right? Because they're trying to survive, right? They're a big corporation. So collaboration, right? Let's just get that straight in. Now, Pay.uk, I haven't heard of them. But then the other thing that attracts my attention here is Amazon Web Services, AWS Partner Network. They are the standard technology partner of Quant Network. And then we've got Hyperledger here, who also work with IBM. So from the get-go here, we can see 3 important collaborations, right? Not exactly partnerships. Maybe you could call them that too, but I would say more collaborations. We've got the recent news section here where we can see all the different information on Quant Network and what they've been up to. So here we can see all that sort of stuff. You can subscribe to their Quant newsletter if you're interested in that. You can see the white paper, which we're not going to go through in this video because it is quite a lot to read. So if you're interested in that, do check it out directly. But let's move on to the important bit here. And the important bit is actually to try to understand what is Overledger. Because if you understand the Overledger and how that works, then you understand Quant Network, right? It's as simple as that. Everything evolves from the Overledger. So that's why we're going to be focusing exactly on this to try to understand it. Because looking through their website, I've noticed that this is actually the core information that you should be looking at here to try to understand what Quant Network is trying to do, right? So here's the Overledger. So before we actually look at this, let me read a little bit about Overledger so you can understand. Now, Overledger is the world's first blockchain operating system that not only interconnects blockchains, but also existing networks to blockchains and facilitates the creation of internet-scale multi-chain applications, otherwise known as MAPs. So we've all heard of dApps, which stands for decentralized applications, but now we've got the multi-chain applications called MAPs. So this is new terminology, at least for me. Now start building game-changing applications with no additional infrastructure using existing resources and have the choice of interoperability in as little as 8 minutes. So that is very fast. And this is what developers are looking for because they don't want to spend so much time. I mean, the blockchain technology is already difficult to understand. If you're spending so much time to dig into the code and to self-teach yourself, right, it could end up costing a lot, right, for a company because we're talking about development time, we're talking about training and things like that. So hence why with Overledger, many developers could actually turn really bullish towards the blockchain ecosystem, right? I hear a lot of developers talking about blockchain and they're like, yeah, I like the tech and all, but like they're not really interested to learn more about it, right? To really go into it. They just like the tech, they've heard of it, they don't believe it's revolutionary. But I think that once they dig into it, then they realize, okay, well, this is actually interesting stuff, right? So here with Overledger, they're actually making it easier for developers which are not developing with the blockchain technology. So let's go back up here and kind of show you the diagram now that you understand what that's about. So we've got the existing networks here, the platforms, the enterprise systems, and the applications. We've got the enterprise permissioned blockchains, which is Hyperledger, which also works with IBM. Ethereum and Ripple. Then we've got the public permissionless blockchains, Bitcoin, Stellar, Ethereum, IOTA, and Neo. Other blockchains like Cardano, Icon, Cosmos, Polkadot, and Aeon. And what's interesting is that Cosmos are kind of doing something similar in that they're trying to interconnect different blockchains. But I haven't seen Cosmos trying to interconnect existing networks outside of the blockchain ecosystem. So that kind of makes me think, like, really? I mean, if Quant Network are doing this, but Cosmos aren't, then how does that differentiate Quant Network, right? It makes me a little bit more bullish on Quant Network, and that's not to say anything negative about Cosmos, nothing at all. But in this video, I really want to focus on Quant Network, but kind of also pinpoint that there are some similarities with other blockchains out there, like for example, Cosmos. Now, let's move down here and look at other things. What other information we've got? So we've got the interconnecting the Enterprise 5, which is Corda, Hyperledger, Ethereum, and Ripple. And then they're talking about Overledger being the blockchain operating system, how it actually works. So it enables developers to build multi-chain dApps, multi-chain applications, maps that seamlessly run the same business logic across different blockchain networks and protocols. Overledger securely removes barriers prohibiting communication across multiple blockchains, providing endless possibilities for data and applications. So we've got a lot of technical information here that you can read if you want, but this is like what I was really trying to cover here. I was trying to really get you to think of how Overledger works, because if you understand that, then you understand pretty much the bigger picture, right? So again, we've got the white paper here. Now the Overledger network, so we're going to have a quick look at how it looks like here. So we've got the Overledger operating system, which we now understand what it's about. There's the transaction layer, the financial services layer, and the channels layer. So here we go. Let's have a quick look here just to get an idea. It's always nicer with a diagram, isn't it? Because then you can kind of get an idea of how something works. So we've got the enterprise blockchains here, 1, 2, and 3, connected to the enterprise hosted Overledger gateway. You do need QNT, because this is one of the questions that, and I will be getting into this in the video. I'm trying to kind of rush through this so that you can also understand the big picture and also the utility of the QNT tokens. And again, the QNT tokens are actually on the Ethereum blockchain. They are an ERC20 token, just to get that out of the way and to be clear. Now we've got the 3D contract and we've got the communication with tier 1, which is the public Overledger gateway with multiple blockchain nodes. This is an example here with Ethereum, Bitcoin, and others, and Ripple. And we've got the connection to the public Overledger gateway with a single blockchain node, for example, only Ethereum. And we've got the third tier, which is a public Overledger gateway with no blockchain nodes, right? So we've got the different cases here. The different use cases, consortium and trade network interoperability, the digital asset use cases, interoperable banking tokens, issue and transfer tokenized, and digital assets across any supported blockchain. Again, this is the cool thing about it, because we can use Overledger for that. QNT, the Universal Utility Token, powers the access and movement of digital assets in the new digital ecosystem. QNT is used to sign and verify transactions across chain to enhance privacy and security. Cross-chain digital asset swaps enabled by 3D contract, smart contract interoperability. So obviously when you use Overledger, then you do need QNT in order to pay for those transaction fees. And you can find the Overledger network paper if you're interested in that, if you want to go more technical. There's the roadmap here. So in 2019, they built the Overledger network. The architecture, design, and development of the whole network. The Treasury is in Q1 of 2020. We've got in Q2, we've got the Overledger gateways for public and enterprise. And in Q4, we've got Overledger network enhancements, continuous iteration and feature enhancements. So they're kind of aiming to complete this by 2020, right before the end of 2020. And then when we move on to the next year, they're just looking at improvements. But the question is, will they have enough funding to sustain themselves? This is my other thing, right? Because, okay, we're seeing collaborations with the likes of Oracle, but are they really funding them? I don't know if they're funding them, right? So we got to think about who's actually funding Quant Network, because this is the main kind of problem that we're seeing in a bear market, right? Because in a bear market, all these companies are running out of funds and then they end up going bankrupt. So who is funding Quant Network? That's the big question, right? Will they have enough funding to keep going and to actually complete the milestones and the roadmap? So let's move on here and talk about the Treasury, right? We're talking about funding and things, right? Let's go up here a bit. So yeah, about the utility white paper, you can have a look at this. We will take a quick glimpse at the utility white paper or the utility paper just to understand the tokenomics of QNT. Now they've got 272 registered organizations, so they do have some funding, right, coming in, right? They are producing revenue, because in order to use Overledger, you do need to pay an annual fee in fiat. Well, not in fiat, it's a fiat fixed price, but you're paying it in QNT tokens. So the company does need to own QNT tokens, but they need to own enough QNT tokens at the current value, which can pay for that annual fee in fiat for a set amount of fiat. Now, actually, we don't know how much that fee is. This is one of the concerns I have, the fact that they're not making that public. And the reason they're not making it public is because apparently it depends on how many users a map actually has. Right, the map is the multi-chain application. So based on the users, that's how it determines the cost, the annual fee that the developers have to pay. So we will be looking at that a bit later too, of course. Now they've got 36 multi-chain applications, maps, and they've got the 10 supported blockchains. They've interconnected the Enterprise 5, like they've spoken already about that. Now about the team, unfortunately the team doesn't actually show on the official website. I was looking through the website. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please leave a comment below. I would very much appreciate it. I couldn't find any information on the team. Maybe at some point in the past they had it and they've updated the website and removed the team members. So I had to actually Google to try and find the team members from Quant on an ICO website, because they did have an ICO in 2018. So Gilbert Verdian is actually the CEO and co-founder. He was actually interviewed by Blockchain Brad, who is also on this channel. Do check out that interview I had with Blockchain Brad. It should pop up on the top right hand corner of the screen. Blockchain Brad, you know, if you've been watching his channel, he does really in-depth tech, because he reads the full white paper and he does in-depth technical interviews with CEOs from various companies. And he really digs in and he finds the bottlenecks, like anything that he finds suspicious in a white paper, he raises that like in the interview. So I strongly recommend you check out his channel if you haven't already. But yeah, Gilbert Verdian's the CEO and co-founder. We've got Paolo Tasca, who's the chief strategist and co-founder as well. So not too many people showing up here, a number of advisors too. But as always, I always like to check the CEO's page on LinkedIn, because we do have it here. And if we don't have it, I normally search for it, because I want to see what is his history, right? We want to see the history of the person to see if we can really trust in the vision of the company, right? Again, this is one of the top 100 projects or companies on CoinMarketCap based on their market cap. So it kind of gives you that bullish idea, but it doesn't mean that there aren't some bottlenecks, right? So you have to be suspicious with everything, right? Be suspicious, and if you can't find anything wrong, then okay, then it's all good and great, but always be a bit suspicious. So the about section, he's currently interested in blockchain, AI, cybersecurity, fintech, and health. He's a technologist with an upbringing in business and a deep background in technology and security. His goal is to develop and commercialize new ideas, tools, and methods to extend the frontiers of science, business, and technology, so as to improve the effectiveness of technology for organizations and ultimately people. He's got over 20 years of industry experience. So that is a lot, right? Let me go down here. He's completed a Bachelor of Business degree, majoring in e-business at the University of Technology, Sydney, and Master of Business Administration, degree in majoring in strategic management. So the guy's got a lot of studies, right? He's got a lot of studies. He's done a lot. He's been with Quant Network for the last 4 years and 5 months, so since September 2015. They are based in London, UK, and also in Switzerland. Now, before that, actually, no, present. So at the moment, he's still part of the EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum member, Blockchain Policy and Framework Conditions Working Group. So basically, he's trying to spread the word out there. He's going to all these different conferences. Of course, he's trying to attract companies to come and develop with Quant Network using the Overledger. Now, founder and blockchain ISO standard. He's also part of that organization, and he's also a chair at the UK standardization delegation at ICO, blockchain and DLT. So this guy is involved in many things, right? So that's why now I can understand why people are so bullish on Quant Network, because a few people told me about it and I didn't have the time to review. So that's why I did this review and this research, not only to educate myself, but also to educate you if you're also interested and you haven't heard of them. But it's interesting to see that this guy, like the CEO, has so much experience, right? In terms of that, and not only experience, but he's really putting himself out there. He's not a money grab, in my opinion, right? This is what I like. When I see this kind of involvement, it tells me it's not a money grab. So again, not trying to shield the company or anything, but this is something positive in my books. When I don't see enough involvement, and I only see like 1 year in the company, okay, I could give them the doubt, because I could say not the doubt, but I could say, okay, maybe we need to give them more time, or maybe it could be a dangerous company, right? Because you've only got a guy working there for a year or so with no previous blockchain experience or so on, right? Or financial experience. So here, this guy was also working for the Federal Reserve System for 2 years and 2 months. He was also part of the Bank of England, so he's got a lot of financial information, Chief Information Security Officer as well. He was a CIO at the NSW Ambulance, Chief Information Security Officer, so he worked a lot with security as well, as you can see here. Co-founder, Director, Ministry of Justice in the UK, was a security lead there. So he's got a lot of experience behind him, so it kind of puts a lot of trust on him, right? When you see something like that, it makes you more optimistic about the future of a company. Now, like I said, my other concern was the funding. How much longer can they go? Where are they getting their funding? But we got that answered when we looked at how many companies are already using them. So let's move on here and talk a little bit about the utility. Quant Network is a pioneering technology company combining cybersecurity industry and government experience to develop advanced technology that automate trust. So what's interesting here is that he's focusing on cybersecurity too, because he's got experience in that. He enjoys security, right? So we can kind of connect it with his previous work experience from his portfolio there, right, when we're looking at it. Now, let's have a look at the use case. So in line with the FIMNA guidelines, utility tokens are tokens that are intended to provide digital access to an application or service. Access to the Overledger operating system is only possible through the use of Quant QNT tokens, and they must be provided to Quant Network in exchange for an annual license or platform fee. The price of the access will be a fixed fiat amount, and the number of tokens needed will vary depending on the price of the token at the time of the purchase. As the network grows and the number of users increase, the demand of the platform will increase. As such, it may be reasonable to expect that the total number of tokens needed changed based on the value of tokens and the number in circulation. By fixing the value of access pegged to a fiat price, it may be possible for a developer to only hold one QNT or a fraction of a QNT, as the price may fluctuate in comparison to fiat. The set usage price will be variable and adjusted to market supply and demand. The next versions of the Quant Treasury will further automate and facilitate the licensing, consumption, and usage of QNT for developers. So basically, they're going to try and make it more user-friendly, right? Because at the moment, you just need that fee. And I think it's quite a manual process, right? Because you need to apply for that if you're a developer in order to pay that fee. And I'd be curious to find out what that fee is. But another interesting article here, and actually it's not an article, it's more of a post on Reddit, because I do like to check Reddit as well to kind of get to do a bit more research if I'm finding something suspicious or something, right? And then just to kind of add on to what they've already said in the utility token paper, this person here, he posted this 2 months ago, so he's basically answered a question of a user. He didn't really understand the QNT tokenomics. So he's basically reiterating QNT has a total supply of 14.6 million tokens. Unlike other projects, there is no inflation, so no new tokens will be minted. So that is one important aspect, the fact that they're low supply, right? 14.6 million. Now that's less than Bitcoin, to be honest. And there isn't a huge amount held by the team in escrow that will enter circulation in the future. QNT's utility is not just license fees, it's used for enterprises, so you can pay an annual license fee determined on the basis of things like the number of users of the map, number of employees, the number of applications, and the volume on Overledger. That is paid in fiat value, which gets converted to QNT with the Treasury. So what's interesting here is that the bigger your company, the more you pay, right? So they're kind of targeting them based on their size. So that is good, because that means that a small startup is motivated to use the Overledger because they're not going to pay so much, right? Again, I don't know what the fee is, right? I would like to know what the fee is just to kind of get a general idea, you know, of kind of compare a small company, a startup, with a medium size and maybe even a large one. Now, enterprises also need to pay a platform fee, which is calculated as a percentage of the license fee, and this is paid for in fiat and converted to QNT through the Treasury. Enterprises need to pay consumption fees for reads rights to Overledger. This is paid for in fiat and converted to QNT through the Treasury. So very, very good comment here. I really appreciate this. Thank you very much. SEK with an X in front, 22X. For this. I think this is really good, because this is the sort of information you want to find when you're doing research on a company. And finally, let's talk about GitHub. So out of everything that I've seen, everything was good, everything was nice, but I've got one small concern. And if you got any doubts, or not doubts, if you've got any way you can convince me that I'm not wrong, that I'm wrong about this, please leave a comment below. I will take that as it is, as a feedback. I would very much appreciate it. But I am a bit concerned with the fact that apart from the software development toolkit here, we're only seeing very, very few people involved. Right, let's go back here, because if you go to people, you don't see anybody. Let's go, for example, to the software development toolkit for JavaScript. 3 contributors. Alex Kiriak was the last guy. He had 100 commits. So you can see everybody who's made what commits and things like that. So 3 contributors, that's a bit concerning to me for a company like this, which is really trying to push this amazing product, Overledger. Why is there only 3 people? Is it that not everything is open source? Maybe not all of, like, they've got their software development toolkit for Overledger for both JavaScript, which is one programming language, and for Java, which is another programming language. But we're not seeing so many contributors. So again, the same 3 contributors here too. They've made changes 6 months ago to the Overledger, and it does tell you how you can install it and all, right? So why is it that we only have 3 contributors to the Overledger? Please let me know. I'm really curious. Look, you can see here 3 months ago, it was the last change that was made. And all the different commits. And actually 9 days ago, there was another commit that was made. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you know why there are such few contributors for such an important company, right? I'm just a bit concerned about that. In my opinion, it's a bit odd, because I've done a lot of reviews on this channel. If you have been following me and you have been following a lot of my reviews, you'd see that various different startups have, even smaller startups than Quant Network, do actually have more contributors. So why is it that they don't have enough contributors? I am a bit concerned about that. Maybe there is a logical explanation behind it. So hence why, if you are part of the team or if you're part of the community and you've already asked that question, do let me know again in the comments below the video. But that was it from today's video. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. If you stayed till the end of the video, I very much appreciate it. And I do hope to see you in my next video. Thank you very much once again for watching, and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.